Alright, I have to come clean to you guys. I hate first-person shooters. I used to be all about them when I was 13 and was allowed to play them. I thought they were awesome, killing guys, getting headshots, throwing grenades, all that cool stuff. And so I bought like 15 of them when I first got into first-person shooters. Anyway, after a certain point, the only one that really stuck with me was Halo. But I never really went any more into the franchise after I finished Halo 4. I didn't play 1, 2, or 3, but I got back into it when Halo Infinite came out. Fast forward to my junior year of college, I'm stuck indoors because of the time skip known as 2020, and I start beginning to stream. I end up getting Doom 2016, primarily because the Doot meme was really funny, and I went out of that game with a whole new perspective on first-person shooters. And I realized they can be fun. Then, at the start of my senior year of college, I finally finished Devil May Cry 5, and I'm ready to start Doom Eternal, which was my next game on my list. And then I stopped streaming for a year because I wanted to finish college and then find a job, but that's not important. Then a year later, after I said that, I began playing Doom Eternal, and let me just say, holy shit. Now let's get some of the pleasantries out of the way. Graphics, amazing. Do you see what's on your screen? Look at this. It's amazing. The music, phenomenal. Now, I don't listen to a lot of death metal or very heavy and aggressive music, but this is an exception. This soundtrack is amazing. And also, the exploration. For a game this focused on guns, you would think that exploration would not be a top priority for this game, but to my surprise, there is something around every corner. You can find vinyl discs, action figures of the enemies you fight. You can even find cheat codes which you can install in the game. That's meta as hell, but that's also really cool. Alright, now that we got the basic stuff out of the way, let's get right into the meat of what makes this game amazing. Or, I guess flesh, since this is Doom we're talking about. Doom Eternal is probably one of the fastest paced games I have ever played. If you do not keep moving, there is a 100% chance you will die. And that sense of constantly having to make the next decision 3 seconds ago makes the game incredible. You may think, oh, it's just slicing demons and shooting them and ripping their heads off and ripping them in half. But oh my, there is so much more to it. You are going through this entire game just absolutely decimating everything that crosses your path. As the game says, rip and tear until it's done. And there is a lot to rip and tear. On the topic of ripping and tearing, the enemies each have their own weak point, which you can exploit, but then when you get further into the game, hitting that weak point becomes the saving grace of the combat since you have to deal with so many enemies, and the more you play the game, the harder it gets to hit those enemies' weak points. But at the same time, the more you play, the better you get, and the easier it is to hit their weak points and juggle enemies at the same time. The balancing between player skill and enemy skill is really well done in this game. Although I will say, most of the enemies in this game are really well designed. Most is the key word in that sentence. And what I mean by this is there are some really annoying enemies. And don't get me wrong, a lot of the enemies are great. You have Caco demons, trumpet guy, these weird brain dude thingies, the big boys. But the ones that suck, really suck. Like this dude who hides on a random spot of the map, and when he charges his power enough, every enemy gets imbued with the power of someone from Florida. Or this dude who just likes to put up walls in front of you at the worst possible times. But it is very satisfying when you kill those annoying enemies by ripping them apart with your bare hands. This game is over-the-top brutality on a whole other level. Every way you can kill an enemy in this game is overkill, and that's putting it lightly. Now, you can go the basic route by just shooting them and seeing them explode and turn into a fine red mist, or you can see parts of their body fall off or chunks of flesh fall off of them from the bullets. Good lord. That is some amazing attention to detail. But then you can do glory kills, and let's just say, yeah, you can do some pretty extreme mutilation in this game. Finally, I want to talk about the weapons and the upgrades. While each weapon has its own use and rate of firepower, it really feels like I'm pulling a random weapon out of my back pocket like I'm Deadpool and just hoping whatever I pull out works for the situation. But there is a lot of diversity in your combat. You have the Blood Punch, which explodes not only the enemy you hit, but everyone in a 5-meter radius of that punch. That's an exaggeration and probably not true. The Flame Belch, which does what it sounds like. Not only do you have a frag grenade, but you also have an ice grenade, which can freeze enemies for a brief moment. The Combat Shotgun, an absolute classic in the Doom franchise. The Heavy Cannon, which is basically a fancy way of saying a 5-bullet in one-shot sniper rifle. The Chain Gun, which is just 4 miniguns taped together. The Plasma Rifle that shoots 400 gallons of McDonald's Sprite into the enemy you're attacking. The Rocket Launcher, which can and will blow up in your face. The Ballista, which clears every enemy off the map. The BFG, which is a gun ripped off of a super cannon used to blast a hole into the side of Mars. The Crucible, which is a personal favorite of mine, is a sword that can cut through an enemy like a hot knife through warm butter. And the Super Shotgun, which comes with a grappling hook extension called the Meathook, and yeah, it pulls you towards the enemy so you can shoot them immediately. Oh, and also the Crucible Hammer for the DLC, but I didn't play the DLC. And by the way, I didn't even mention the 3 power-ups you can equip to enhance movement, the rune power-ups for your suit, or the fact that there are 2 separate extensions that you can equip to each specific gun, which you can change automatically mid-fight. If you think the combat in this game is not diverse enough, then I'm gonna have to ask you to leave because clearly you're not paying attention. The only weapon that sucks is the chainsaw, which is definitely a common complaint I've heard from people that have played this game. In Doom 2016, your chainsaw could kill one enemy regardless of its size, but now each demon is worth a certain amount of chainsaw points, and some of them aren't worth any points, and you have to find that out the hard way. Come on, let me, oh no, I don't have it! I'm not sure why they nerfed the chainsaw so hard, but let me just say it can really put players in tough spots that are impossible to get out of. And I was a victim of that situation. Oh, this is the worst situation! Okay, I don't think I'm doing anything to him. You know what? Whatever, okay? I just wasted, like, what, 20 minutes running around in a freaking circle? Besides that, though, Doom Eternal is how you do a sequel. The entire game could just be described as more. More enemies, more upgrades, more guns, more levels, more Doom. Despite some very minuscule flaws, this is 100% my favorite FPS game. And so, if Bethesda is making a Doom 3 of some kind, I will hop on it immediately. This series just keeps going up. Now, I didn't really talk about the lore that much because there's not really a whole lot, kind of like Metroid, but here's a brief synopsis of the game's lore. People say he's a god, but I don't think that's true. Okay, so maybe he is a god. Man, I don't know what it is about me playing games where you rip people's spines out, but I hope you liked it. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!